I know I'm not helping.
We're recording. Now let me do screen share so I can see if I can do this. All right, everybody, bear with me. Do we have both going?
We do. We
Oh
do.
my goodness. This is a little different setup for me. So I'm learning and we're practicing on everybody out there. So hello, everybody. Laura Fournier with Nations Lending. Having fun learning about IT and elevating my skills. So bear with me. The information is still fantastic, even if the delivery is bumpy. So,
Speaking of which, I'm Michael Kurtanek, Macintosh Realtors, and glad to be back with you, Laura. What are we going to talk about today?
today, we're going to talk about why buyers are afraid to buy.
Okay.
We don't want people being out there fearful and being afraid to reach one of their goals. They have a goal of owning a home. It's part of the American dream. And people are afraid. And we're going to talk about that so we can have a candid conversation, so we can put the fear where it belongs, somewhere in the circular file, the trash can. It doesn't belong in your life.
That's
So
really great, Laura. I completely agree. To all your viewers out there, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And Laura, where do you want to begin today with setting aside and crumpling up your fear and putting it in the circular bin?
Um, well, we're going to talk about the reasons why people have fear.
Okay.
I can get the screen to now this screen isn't moving. Am I on the screen that says fear? It has 5 little bullets.
Nope, it's just your contact info.
Oh, it likes my contact info. Aha.
Here we
Aha.
go.
More progress. So there's a number of reasons, but these are the ones that I have been discovering as I'm working with people and helping them, understand the market and understanding why they want to buy, and just helping them by looking at the statistics on why, they really need to put fear to the side. And most of the time, fear is false evidence appearing real.
Mm-hmm.
Something maybe people have heard over the years, but really, fear comes into our life mostly because we're listening to a lot of negativity.
Right.
And most of the time, negativity is just somebody's opinion. It could be their general disposition. It could be that they've gotten knocked around a lot in life. And, that's just the way they are, or the way
Yeah.
they choose to be, really. So we really have to examine, what's really real and how things really work in the market, and not let fear stop us. And sometimes, you might be a little afraid, but you have to do it anyways.
Right.
There's all sorts of things that, even though you have a little bit of fear, you just go forward because you want to achieve that goal. And, so many things in life you have to do with a little bit of fear and trepidation anyways. And when you do that, that's called courage.
Exactly. I think that's well said, Laura. And a lot of fear, when I talk to people about buying or selling, it has to do with not fully knowing the facts that are out there. And I always tell people, listen, just talk to the experts. If you're not sure what a root canal is, you don't go to a carpenter, right? So you want to make sure that you're talking to the right people. So if you want to talk about, hey, what's the market doing in your area, real estate being local, talk to a local real estate expert. You want to find out, are the rates going to go up? Are they going to stay the same? Are they ever going to come down? Talk to Laura, the lender, and seek advice from those who are in the know.
Yes, absolutely. And it really doesn't matter where interest rates are. You
Right.
never should try to time the market. Almost nobody
Right.
can time the market. You really need to buy when you can afford to buy, and you need to buy what you can afford, which is the number 2 point, was buying what you can afford, because people don't want to buy right now because rates are higher than they were. They were kept artificially low for over a dozen years by the Federal Reserve. And now they are into more normal levels in the sixes and low sevens. Sometimes in the upper fives. We've caught a couple weeks of that. But when you might have to buy less, but buying just makes sense because you have to live somewhere. And people with um people are afraid because they think the market might crash. And in fact, there are some news media out there that have been stating that the market is down. The market is down. Oh my God. Well, when you're
Yeah.
on Mount Everest, right there, you're at the peak, you're on Mount Everest, and you come down 2%, you are
Yeah.
still very, very high up in the clouds.
Right.
And this is a national chart. This is national, 2.5 towards the end of 2022. There was a little dip, but that's not actually our area. And you can see over the last 10 years, we had 115% appreciation. And just in 3 years, 2 years in this chart, it was over almost 40% appreciation, starting in 2020. So really, home prices in our area are actually appreciating. They're
I
actually
agree.
continuing to go up. And I'm seeing when my clients are writing contracts, they're actually offering over the asking price still.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm seeing that too on the real estate perspective. And this chart is really good nationally. And I will tell you that home prices don't go straight up and straight down. There's always a plateau. Because of low inventory in Maryland and throughout the country, we don't expect home prices to drop at all. If home prices drop and we have what some in the media claim there will be a market crash, which there's no evidence of that, but if there is, it's because there's some kind of external factor pressuring the housing market to crash, not from within. It'll be from without, something external. And we can't control that. We don't know what it is, but interest rates are still below the historical average. It's just that we don't have a lot of homes on the market. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And mostly where you've seen a drop is some of the states where people are moving out in mass exodus, like New York and California.
Right.
So
Right.
you can draw your own conclusions about that.
Yep.
So one of the this is kind of a combination thing, but people need to buy a home that they can afford, which may be less than what you want. Because I
Mhm.
mean, our wants can be ginormous. They can be, unbounded, unlimited. In fact, that's fine if they are, but you have to buy what you can afford. So
Correct.
maybe you're starting small because that's what you can afford. And then you stay here for a while and you make your payment and you're building your equity, and the market is appreciating. In our area, on average, they're saying 3 to 5% and maybe some more. So you stay there, you're living somewhere, you got to live somewhere. You don't want to be
It's a,
living in a tent out in the woods somewhere, maybe for a camping weekend, but not like long term.
right. Right.
I
And
confess, not a big camping girl. I can do it for a weekend, but that's as far as I go.
yeah, my camping's at Ritz-Carlton or something. Yeah, I can tell you that from my perspective, that first consultation with a buyer is so important because we focus on what they can afford, make sure they get connected with a lender if they haven't already. But that first conversation, talk about the market, talk about their dreams, talk about what their wants and needs are, which can be two different things and usually are. that first discussion with a home buyer and a realtor is so important. Then when a buyer gets the market update and can see fully, then they readjust their sights and then we move forward. So you're absolutely right. Maybe they are reading or seeing in the media things that just aren't necessarily true. Just talk to a local expert.
Yeah. So maybe you start out small and you're there, maybe you're there 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and then you take that equity and you move to, your next house. Maybe that's the middle house. And then you
Yeah,
can
that's
do it again. You're not like stuck somewhere forever. You're not bound to that house for the rest of your eternity.
exactly. And being the advisor that you are, Laura, sometimes you'll advise people to keep that little home as a rental and
Mm-hmm.
use it as an income stream as they purchase a second home. And that's why people just really have to sit down, have a confidential conversation and see the pros and cons. But it is possible you can maybe have two houses. One you rent, pay the mortgage, and then live in that medium-sized house or large house.
Right, exactly. And we talk about that because we have, talk about people's why, why now,
Yes.
what problem they
Yes.
trying to solve, what do they need?
Yep.
And then we also
Yep.
talk about an exit strategy. How do they
Right.
feel about possibly having a rental and those sort of things? So yeah, there's lots of
Yep.
conversations and lots of strategies to talk about. But you don't
That's
have
right.
any strategy unless you start. You got to get in the game wherever you enter the game,
Right.
wherever your starting point. I started in a condo in College Park for 83,000.
Yep.
So that's where I started. Family tells us a lot of things about, it's not a good time to buy, or you shouldn't own real estate, or people tell you all sorts of things when you're trying to reach a goal. Maybe it's a goal that they wanted but they never reached, so they're kind of holding you down. So really, when family members or friends or so-called friends, are really putting the poo-poo, the downer on your dreams of home ownership, you really need to consider the source. Are they a homeowner? Have they ever wanted to be a homeowner? What information do they have? Is it accurate? Because
Right.
really, affordability is kind of still, housing is still affordable even at these higher interest rates, because most people are getting paid more. Most people have gotten some pretty good raises on average to their income. So housing is still affordable because income has been keeping pace with, these interest rates going up. So that's kind of the good news about housing affordability. And
Yep.
all of us never really like to pay more to get what we could have bought years ago for less, but you got to do it where you are now. You can't, go back in time. But the good news is that a lot of people are getting higher salaries. They're getting promotions. People that have actually switched jobs have gotten even more of an increase in their income, because employers are trying to draw those really good, productive people, and they're incentivizing those job hops by giving them bonuses and higher wages to, move over to this new company that wants you. So
Yeah.
there is some good news about the affordability with housing and income.
There sure is. And I know that grocery prices have gone up and gas prices have not gone down that much, but the pandemic, if it's taught us nothing else as a society and culture, it's taught us that we can be sedentary. We don't have to commute every single day to back and forth to work. We can stay home, and companies, employers are being more gracious with that. So maybe your household budget, when it comes down to groceries, gas, things like that, then it will help you with your ability to purchase a home in spite of the interest rates that are just a little bit higher than they used to be.
Yes, and also with budgeting, you can reallocate, where you're spending your money. Because, like you said, people that aren't commuting, their gasoline bill has gone way down
Yeah.
because they're not driving in, and maybe they're not paying for metro. Maybe they're not paying for, parking and all of those things. And maybe they're not eating lunch out a lot because they're not,
Right.
at the office. And also if you're working from home, you're probably not stopping in at whatever Dunkin' Donuts and so on because you're not
Right.
out and about. So there's a
Right.
lot of ways you can reallocate the dollars. And I know for a fact, because I look at people's bank statements all day long, and I know from my own personal experience, there's things that we do in our own personal habits that we can cut out because, one, you don't really need it, and two, you can, like I said, reallocate those dollars that you used to spend eating lunch out and put them into maybe a slightly bigger house payment.
Yeah.
So, these are all great things to think about when you're out house shopping. The most exciting thing, really, though, and the reason why there's so much bad information out there is because people are not actually comparing the right numbers. And rents have gone up at a higher fashion than mortgage payments. And they have been increasing at the highest rate since the pandemic in history of tracking, rents. I mean, on the average, rents are going up almost 9 and sometimes over 9% annually.
Yep.
So when you are a renter, you are subject to your rent increasing. You might have a 2 or 3 year lease, but a lot of people are just on annual leases. And that means you're subject to that rent increase every year, or moving, and moving has expenses in it as well.
Yep.
So what I like about this is if we showed somebody renting a house that was valued at 425, the rent in that area is about $3,000 for that house. Their house payment would be about $33.86. But even if they got a 3% annual increase, by the end of 9 years, they'd be paying $3,800 for the same house 9 years later renting.
Yep.
But
That's great. And I would add that when it comes to buying versus renting, the statistic is that a homeowner is 44% wealthier than a renter because you factor in the equity when you pay your mortgage each month when you own a home. Renting, you're paying the landlord's mortgage.
exactly. So you're always paying a mortgage. It's either your own
Right,
or
right,
it's the
right. Or,
landlord's.
yep.
But look at this number. Over 9 years, if we have an annual appreciation, this is just a historic average, 4.1%. This same home is worth 600,000 in 9 years, and you've made equity of 48,000. So you have over $200,000 that you've built up value in your house, and that's in 9 years. That's tremendous. But going even a step further, and this is over 6 months, you would have built equity. These are two different loan types, but about 26,000 in 5 years. This is not appreciation. This is just equity from paying your mortgage. You would have paid $194,000 to the landlord in 5 years rent.
Yep.
And that's without the actual rent increases. $194,000. Or you can have money in your pocket, building equity in your home.
Right.
And astonishingly, if you never become a homeowner and you live renting for 30 years, $1.7 million. That's a crazy big number.
It sure is. And that's why anybody out there who's watching this, please consult with your local realtor and your lender. Figure out what the current market's like, get a snapshot of the current market and see if it makes sense to buy versus rent. and also maybe keep a property as a rental and purchase another property for yourself.
Yeah, and even the last thing that people are afraid of is that the market will crash. So
Yeah,
let's say the market crashed and your
yeah,
house never appreciates for 1 second. At the end of 30 years, you own a home. You're
right.
still living there. You still have a roof over your head. It's still yours. It's worth
Yeah,
whatever it's worth.
yeah,
Or you've paid your landlord $1.7 million.
yeah,
So
right,
if even if the worst happens, the worst that happens to you is that you have your house and you have a roof over your head.
right.
Like there's no comparison to renting versus owning. The
Yeah,
the numbers speak for themselves. You've paid off your principal of your house, or you've paid your landlord a ton and paid off. And not only have you paid off his house, but you've given him a lot of money over the years
sure,
because that
sure.
house. So just wanted to look at that rent over 5 years again.
Yeah.
You've paid, this is comparing the rent to the interest that you paid on the loan.
Hmm.
So the rent was 3 times the interest that you paid on the loan. Crazy,
Yeah,
crazy. Like the numbers tell the story. The numbers are accurate. They tell the whole story of why owning is the best way to build wealth and have something of substance, a roof over your head where you build your memories, where you create that family atmosphere, where you socialize. But it also, you build equity, you have the appreciation, you have the satisfaction of owning a home, you have a stable payment because most interest rates are fixed. You've had tax deductions along the way. You've gotten to create your own space. Um, and it also builds community because communities are way more stable when you have majority ownership versus majority rental.
well, I think this information has been great, Laura. I hope that the viewers out there can begin to overcome their fears of buying a home. And Laura, you did a great job weighing the pros and cons of renting versus owning. And if anybody would like some more questions or like to speak with you, how can they do so?
They can do so by just contacting me. That's a link to my calendar. You can schedule a Zoom conversation with me where we can really dive in deep to understand where you are, how we can help you, what product options are available for you so you can become a homeowner. If you um, aren't quite ready, we can make a plan to get you ready. So all sorts of great things, ways that we can be, helpful to everybody and
That's
eventually
wonderful.
get them in a home.
That's wonderful. And please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much, Laura, for this great information. Michael Kurkanik, McIntosh Realtors. We'll be happy to send you more information and have a free consultation.
Absolutely. Laura Fournier, Nations Lending. I look forward to everybody just ringing us up and letting us help them get started and get you to the finish line of owning a home. And that's just the beginning. So
Excellent.
take
Thanks,
care.
Laura.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye-bye.